Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into something, well, something a lot of people notice as time goes on, that subtle shift in our hair. The gray starting to appear, and we're specifically zeroing in on one product aimed at this. Alpecin Grey Attack Shampoo. Now, this isn't your everyday shampoo. It's marketed as a daily use thing, mainly for men with light brown to black hair. The idea is it gradually makes gray less noticeable. Our mission today, it's really to give you a clear shortcut. We want you to be well-informed, sifting through the details from our source material, which is a review video transcript to get the core insights. We'll look at how it's supposed to work, what people are actually finding, and importantly, what realistic expectations you should have if you're thinking about trying it. You get the full picture.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because it really taps into this ongoing trend in personal care. People seem to want subtle options, things that aren't drastic. And this product fits right into that, offering something less abrupt, something you can just work into your daily routine. It feels like part of that evolution in how we approach appearance maintenance.
Right. So definitely not just a regular shampoo. And like you said, it's not being sold as like an instant dye job. It feels like they're aiming for a very specific niche here. How exactly does Alpecin Grey Attack work then, chemically speaking? What makes it different from just, covering the gray up?
That's the core question, really, because the mechanism is different. It's not depositing a ready-made color like traditional dyes. It's about a gradual process that happens in the hair. And it's targeted, as you said, at light brown to black hair. That's because the active stuff interacts with the existing darker pigments and the precursors in the gray hairs. They mention two key things. First, caffeine, which people might know from other Alpecin products for like strengthening hair. That's a nice side benefit, I suppose. But the main player for the color change is this ingredient called 5,6-DHI.
Okay, 5,6-DHI sounds a bit technical. What exactly is that doing? Can you break that down a bit?
Right. Sure. So think of 5,6-DHI as basically a colorless starting molecule. It's not actually a dye when it goes onto your hair. What happens is when you use the shampoo, this compound reacts with oxygen from the air. It oxidizes. And that process, the oxidation, slowly forms color pigments right inside the hair shaft itself. It's gradual.
Ah.
It's almost like the hair is developing its own color from the inside out rather than getting painted. That's why it's not instant. The color builds up over, say, 2 to 4 weeks of regular use.
Right, so it's the reaction in the hair, not just sitting on top. That makes sense why it's gradual. Very different from a one-shot dye. It's more like coaxing the color back subtly. An evolution, not a sudden revolution, as the source material puts it. And that slow, almost unnoticeable change must be the big draw for many people, right? It avoids that whole, whoa, you dyed your hair moment.
Exactly. That seems to be a major part of the appeal.
So bearing that slow buildup in mind, what are users actually reporting? What's the experience like with this gradual approach?
Well, the feedback highlighted in our source definitely leans into that subtlety. Some users report their hair looking, and this is a quote, slightly darker and more natural. That natural part is key, I think. It directly tackles that common issue with some dyes where the hair can look a bit flat or obviously colored, artificial.
Avoiding that fake look.
Right. The gradual development with Grey Attack seems to allow for a more blended, multi-tonal result, less uniform.
That desire for a natural appearance, yeah, without broadcasting you've done something, that must be a huge factor for people choosing this.
Absolutely. And then there are the practical sides, too. The source mentions third-party testing and user feedback suggesting it's generally safe. Always important. And crucially, this is a big one for anyone who's used traditional dyes. It apparently doesn't stain skin or fabric.
Oh, thank goodness. That's huge, isn't it? No more dye-stained towels or panic scrubbing of the forehead. That alone sounds like a major win.
It really is. It removes a lot of the hassle factor. And maybe the biggest convenience point is how easily it fits into your life. It just replaces your normal shampoo. You're not adding a whole separate messy step to your routine. So it feels like a low commitment option, as the source calls it, much less fuss.
That combination, the convenience, the subtle, natural look, no staining, it really does sound like a strong proposition for someone maybe just starting to see grays or who wants to manage them without a big announcement. But, okay, if the change is that subtle and takes, 2 to 4 weeks, is there a risk people get impatient or even wonder if it's doing anything before they hit that mark?
That's a very fair point. And it brings us right to the need to manage expectations properly. Because while subtlety is great for some, that gradual timeline can be a hurdle for others. And this is where we need to be really clear. Because, like with so many personal care things, results aren't guaranteed across the board. Our source is quite direct about this. It says while some people do see results they like, many others report little to no difference even after consistent use.
Ah, so it's really variable then.
Extremely variable. The effectiveness seems to hinge quite a lot on individual factors.
Like what? What makes it work for one person and not another?
Well, according to the source, it mainly depends on your hair's natural color and how much gray you have. It's not designed as a universal fix. It explicitly states it's not a guaranteed fix, especially for those with lighter or mostly gray hair.
Okay, so if your hair is already pretty gray, or maybe you're naturally blonde or very light brown, this might not be the product for you.
That seems to be the implication. It works best, it seems, when blending in those early grays, as the source puts it, with existing darker hair. It's not really for heavy gray coverage.
That distinction between early grays and more widespread graying or lighter hair seems really important then for setting expectations. What does early grays really mean in this context? Is it like the first few strands or up to a certain percentage?
The source doesn't give a hard percentage, but the implication is definitely that it's for when gray is starting to appear, or is still quite sparse. Enough for the developing color to blend in naturally with your non-gray hair. It's definitely not pitched for someone who's mostly silver or white. So the key takeaway here is understanding your hair. What's your starting color? How much gray do you actually have? That self-assessment is crucial before you even consider it. It highlights that, even with clever chemistry, our own biology plays a huge role. It kind of forces you to think about what success even means for these products. It might not be a total fix, but finding what works for your specific situation.
That makes perfect sense. So knowing your hair, the color, the gray level is fundamental to deciding if this product even aligns with what it can do. You need patience and you need to be realistic. Okay, so we've looked at the science behind it, the potential benefits people like, and these really important limitations and variations. Let's pull it all together. What's the bottom line for you, the listener, if you're considering Alpecin Grey Attack?
Right. The consolidated view from the source material is pretty straightforward, actually. First off, it's presented as a legitimate product from a well-known brand. Alpecin is established. Second, it might help. Specifically, it might help reduce early grays for some people, particularly those men with that light brown to black natural hair color looking for a subtle effect. But, and this is the big but, we have to stress again that results vary widely. It is not a guaranteed fix. So think of it as a low commitment option if you fit the profile and you're curious. But the main advice is manage your expectations. Go in knowing it takes time and it might not work dramatically or even noticeably for everyone. Don't expect instant changes.
Yeah, what really stands out from this, I think, is that alignment factor. The product has its specific mechanism. It's from a known company, sure. But success really seems to depend on matching its capabilities. Subtle, gradual, works best on darker hair with early gray with your individual hair, and, just as importantly, what you actually expect it to do. It's less about a miracle cure and more about finding a targeted tool that might fit your specific needs if your expectations are realistic. So whether you were actively thinking about this product or maybe you just found the whole idea of gradual hair coloring kind of interesting, we hope this deep dive gave you some useful insights. We went from understanding that unique slow burn color mechanism to hearing about user experiences and really hitting home the importance of your own hair type and realistic goals.
And what this exploration really underscores is a broader theme in personal care, doesn't it? It's that constant balancing act between convenience, like just using a shampoo, and actual effectiveness, and how much our own individual biology dictates the results we get from any product. It kind of invites us all to think beyond just the marketing claims and consider the science of, well, ourselves when we make these choices. What can we realistically expect?
That's a great point to end on. It's about informed choices. Well, that's all we have time for today. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and stay curious.